How does your credit report look these days? Would you be surprised if it's not correct? Most people don't really know what's in their credit report until it's time to buy a home, car, or they get rejected for a new credit card. The credit industry is changing, and we'd like to share with you how to avoid surprises. Today on Your Real Estate Advisor, hear what an expert from the Credit Bureau has to say. We'll be back after a check of today's headlines.
Now, live with the ins and the outs and the do's and the don'ts of Texas real estate, this is Your Real Estate Advisor. Brought to you by Bankers Financial Group.
Welcome to the show. I'm Chet Wilke, your real estate advisor. Credit myths, avoiding credit surprises, and how to get a better credit score are the topics for today's show. Like you, I've experienced credit rejection. I got mad. Couldn't understand why the credit bureaus didn't have the facts right. After all, I just bought a new car, I own a home, and I always pay my accounts on time. Credit is a mystery to most of us. Have you ever tried to decipher a credit bureau report without the help of a loan officer? Well, today we're going to dispel the myths about credit bureaus, unveil the truths about credit scoring, and explore your credit scenario with a couple of experts. If you plan on buying anything on credit, refinancing your home, or just want to get the record straight, then this is the show for you. We challenge you to share with us your credit issues and get your questions answered today by some credit experts on our show. So call us with your concerns, questions, or comments. Our toll-free number is 1-877-977-TXCN, or email us at txcn.com by clicking on Your Real Estate Advisor. Call in early and we'll get to you as soon as we can. That number again is 1-877-977-TXCN. We'll be happy to answer your credit scoring questions or any other questions related to Texas real estate. Okay, I want to introduce my guests. To explain what a credit bureau does and how it can affect your next home purchase is Rod Griffin with Experian. And for your home loan questions and needs, we have Tom Gilly with Network Funding. Welcome to your Real Estate Advisor and TXCN, guys.
Thank you, Chet.
I want to share right at the top of the show an email. We got an email at the bottom too, but at the top of the show, Christina wrote me a few weeks ago, and I thought it was appropriate because of this show in particular. Christina writes me, I'm in the beginning stages of figuring out what I need to do to buy a home. I spoke with someone at a mortgage company in order to get pre-qualified. I was told to wait because if I don't purchase within the next 60 days, my credit will have to be run again once I do decide to buy, and this could put strikes against my credit report. Would it make that much of a difference if I have it run now for pre-qualification and again once I'm ready to buy? I don't plan on doing anything to jeopardize my credit report. What do you suggest? Rod, what do you think?
Oh, a couple of things, Chet. First, she may look at compare pre-qualification to pre-approval. In pre-qualification, the lender may be able to give her some idea as to what price range she may be able to afford without pulling a copy of her credit history.
Yeah, but in the real estate business, and of course we're talking real estate here, Tom,
right.
You know you do in-file reports typically when you do a pre-qual, do you not?
Right. I think a pre-qualification honestly is useless without the lender looking at the credit report, because so many of the programs rely heavily on one's credit score or credit history for that matter, and I think she just got some bad advice because that credit report does need to be pulled for the pre-qualification so you know you're on the right track.
And she's just going to have to wait 60 days. Now, will it be a strike against her, Rod?
If her credit history, the first thing I would recommend is that she get her copy of her credit report herself.
Before she goes to the loan lender?
Before she goes to the lender. Know what's in there. It's not a secret. It shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
And she can do that either online at www.experian.com or at creditexpert.com.
Right.
Which is sponsored by Experian, get a free report, and also look at a risk score so she knows sort of where she's at. Once she's done that, and she knows everything is fine, get pre-qualified. Inquiries, which is the strike you're talking about, will have typically a very minor effect unless you already have issues with your credit history, so it shouldn't hurt her.
Well, let's talk to George and see what George has to say. George, this is Chet Wilke, your real estate advisor. Welcome to the show. How can we help you out?
Well, I want to find out if my credit is really bad, can my wife purchase a home independently of me?
I see. She bought a house on her own.
If she wants to buy a house on her own, can she qualify for a mortgage on her own without me?
Okay. So you want to know how to find out about the credit situation so she can possibly buy a house on her own without you.
Right.
Okay. Tom, that might be more of a lender type question, don't you think?
Yeah, I really agree. To answer your question, sir, it depends on the type of program that you want to select, because some programs require the analyzation of both parties in the transaction, wife and husband. However, there are other programs, such as conventional programs, that would allow her to qualify on her own, solely and separately of you. And if income is an issue, then you're going into a direction of maybe a no income verification loan, no employment verification loan, and those programs are purely and simply analyzed based on the credit score, and it does require excellent credit to do that.
Well, George, it sounds like that might be a solution for you, and of course you probably need to go ahead and have a chat with a lender at some time. Thanks for your call.
Yeah, thank you.
And I think we've got someone from El Paso on the line. This is Chet Wilke. How can we help you today?
Hi. I was trying to buy a house, and in '82 I was divorced, and my husband and I filed for a reorganization, not a bankruptcy, but a reorganization.
Chapter 11, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still coming up on my credit. Every time I go to purchase even a non-qualifying assumable loan, it comes up on my credit.
That was back in 1982.
Yes.
Well, that's the Rod question for sure. What do you think, Rod? What can she do to get rid of that?
She should get a copy of her credit report. She should just simply dispute that information. If the bankruptcy was filed in 1982, it should be removed.
That's what I was wondering, because his credit's wonderful, and every time he goes to get credit, and I've talked to him, he has no problem. But me, it comes up every time, and I don't know if it's because it's a spousal issue or what, you know.
Well, you definitely need to dispute it. And I guess if you really had to get serious about it, you can talk to a real estate attorney, and they can send a letter to somebody. Thanks for your call.
Thank you.
Certainly. Let's talk about credit scoring before we take our break, guys. What's a credit score, Rod?
A credit score is an analysis of the information in your credit history by a computer program, an automated computer program that looks at the factors in your credit history, whether you're pay on time, whether you're delinquent, those sorts of things, and assigns a numerical value. It's simply an automated way of a lender looking at the credit history and determining whether you're a good credit risk.
Does the credit bureau actually assign the numeric value for that credit score?
No, and that's a very good point. And
now, everybody must think that you do, though.
Right, they do, because it's called a credit bureau score. It's called a credit bureau score because it uses credit bureau information in the calculation, not because the credit bureau calculates it.
And Tom, when you pull a in-file report, is there a credit bureau score on the in-file report?
Always.
Always. So,
well,
so do you think it came from the credit bureau?
Yes. Quite honestly.
Okay.
Because each bureau is going to have a different score. In most situations, they do have different scores.
So are we all paranoid, Rod, or what's the deal?
No, there's some misunderstanding about the process. And what happens is a lender will come to us and say, we need to have a copy of Chet's credit history, and we also would like to have a Fair Isaac risk score applied, if that's the model they choose. What happens is the credit bureau provides the credit report.
Right.
As it's being sent to the lender, or perhaps even in some cases at the lender's location, the credit risk score is applied. The analogy I often use is we send, Fair Isaac will rent space from us essentially on our big computer. We send the credit bureau into that room through the keyhole that goes out on the way to the lender through the window, and the credit bureau doesn't know what happens in that room. Fair Isaac knows what the formula is, but it comes out on the other side and it's printed at the same time, and it looks like it's part of the credit report, and in fact it's not.
So we have a proprietary credit scoring system in some back room controlled by a company that you have no control over, but that score is attached to your credit report that Tom gets or that the consumer gets.
Well, it's an analysis of the information in the credit report.
We're going to have to get into that a little bit more seriously when we come back. We're going to talk about the FICO situation. Be right back. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Advisor. I'm Chet Wilke. Rod and Tom are with me, and the phones are lighting up, so everybody hang in there. We're going to talk to Michelle right now. Michelle, this is Chet Wilke with Your Real Estate Advisor.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How can we help you today solve a problem?
Really enjoying the show, getting a lot of good information. Thank you so much.
Good.
My question is, I purchased a home in March. My sister moved in with me. how can I now get her so she has some equity into the home, onto the loan?
Mm-hmm.